In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the current conditions, diving into that upcoming pattern as always, and then taking a look at some of that severe weather as well. Let's just get straight into this video though, and first things first, we can see that there is a lot of showery activity down here in the Four Corner states, where that monsoon activity is still ongoing. We have some of that spreading into California actually as well, which is a little bit more interesting. And then we can see for the northern plains and northern Rockies, we do have some showers and thunderstorms ongoing at this point as well. Also, here for the Ohio Valley into some of the plains, we do have some thunderstorms and showers ongoing at this point. We have these tropical thunderstorms ongoing for the Gulf and offshore of the southeast. And then offshore of the East Coast, we have some showers left over from some thunderstorms that rolled through yesterday. We even have some more showers here for Virginia, North Carolina, and other areas. Now, there's a lot to go over. This might take a while, but we're going to start from west to east as always. We can see that up here in California, we do just have some sporadic showers and isolated thunderstorms here, kind of in the valley here near, I guess, south of San Francisco, south of Sacramento as well, kind of to the east of San Francisco. None have come over the San Francisco Bay necessarily, I would say, but they're getting awfully close, and throughout the day today, they might get a little bit closer. Now, even as we work our way a little bit further eastward here, we can see for the state of Nevada, we're actually seeing some of these as well in this region. Mostly, I guess, outside of this. Well, no, they're in there too. So I guess mostly this region here is where we're seeing a lot of these showers and thunderstorms at this point. Now, for Arizona here, we do have a lot of these sporadic light to moderate showers, mostly to the west of Phoenix. They were over Phoenix at a certain point. We also see them west of Flagstaff as well. So we're seeing multiple different regions here, seeing some of these heavier showers or thunderstorms even. South of Albuquerque, they were kind of spread throughout the entire state of New Mexico, but they've kind of died down in most areas. They were east, northwest of Albuquerque at a certain point, but now they're mostly just south of Albuquerque, actually, as you'll see. Now, these are heading directly towards Albuquerque, so I would not be surprised if it's raining in just a couple of hours. But at this point, it is mostly south there, as I mentioned. Now, as we move up to the north central United States, we can see showers mostly for this western and northern end, I would say. Actually, mostly this eastern end, we're seeing thunderstorms throughout this entire area for Nebraska, South Dakota there especially, but even into North Dakota and Minnesota, we're seeing a lot of these thunderstorms taking place as well. And then it's mostly showers here for Montana and Wyoming, and that's spreading into South Dakota at this point. Now, as we can see, when we take a look here at the plains into the Ohio Valley, we do have quite a bit of heavy activity actually heading into these regions at this point, especially here for Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia. We see a lot more of these light to moderate to even heavier showers, possibly even thunderstorms happening on the southern end of things here. And I think what's interesting is as we zoom in here, look at all of those flood warnings coming in. We see tons of flooding happening in here. Actually, needs to be watched very carefully. That's widespread flooding actually near St. Louis. We see other areas in there. Odin, I think that's in Illinois. South of Litchfield as well. Definitely seeing some persistent heavy precipitation over the course of multiple hours is what I talked to you guys about a lot. When you see hours and hours and hours of moderate to heavy rainfall, it just adds up to the point where flooding is inevitable, especially for those areas that are more susceptible. So we need to watch this extremely, extremely closely, to say the least, that flooding situation as it unfolds. We can see these tropical thunderstorms here for a lot of these areas. They are spreading onshore to a lot of these regions. This is almost a daily occurrence. If you live there, you practically know that there's always kind of that chance of these thunderstorms hitting. We even see them crossing the state of Florida there, starting with southern Florida. So as we zoom in here, we can see that for this region, we do have some moderate showers to even thunderstorms happening at this point near Miami, and kind of for that east coast there of southern Florida. That is going to spread all the way, I think, to this region as well, Florida, over time. Now, as we take a look here, this is our last region to talk about. We do have some showers and thunderstorms in this area that are going to be going on for the afternoon, kind of noontime into the afternoon. I mean, even late morning, obviously, for the areas that are already seeing it, but for the eastern areas, it's going to be more this afternoon. And then this pocket we see over here, that's also going to head in as well. So we're going to see that add in afterwards, probably a lot later this evening. So a lot of rainfall expected here for this region in general that's lined up to get hit with this. Well, let me zoom out so I can explain. But this cylindrical shape of thunderstorms and showers is in a similar shape going to head into this region. And that's going to lead towards a lot of rainfall for the east as well. That specific region in the east, that is. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to just deep dive into that upcoming pattern. Storms, total precipitation, temperature pattern, and then even the severe weather as well. Now, here we are taking a look at the upcoming pattern. Let's just move it towards this afternoon, and we can see that those showers arrive for this region that I mentioned before. So we're going to see these reach the eastern United States. We still see some of these happening down there for the Gulf. And then we see some activity kind of aligned with this trough. We see a trough right here and a low. So this tells me there's probably a cold front in there, somewhere in there, and that's going to be our second cold front that we've been talking about. Now for Wednesday, this is going to be July 27th. We can see that for the Four Corner States, we see quite a bit of activity down there. We see another low with another cold front underneath. We also see quite a bit of some showers and precipitation up there, widespread actually. And then we see through this eastern region, we see this precipitation continue from that system. And then the Gulf, we're still seeing some continued tropical thunderstorms. Now for Thursday, we see here, we see a pretty decent cold front in here. We see a lot of these, this cold air moving in behind it like this. We see some activity out ahead of it. And then we have these Gulf thunderstorms still happening. Friday here, the cold front is much more defined. We can see that it is clearly something like this. At this point, we're going to see a lot of cold air heading in as well. Cooler area, that is. I always have a tendency to say cold, but it's obviously not going to be really cold. It's just going to be cooler than it was. We also see this kind of just links up with the monsoon activity that's heading in through here. And then we also see activity up and down the Rockies as well. And then we see it's also kind of meeting up here with this Gulf activity. So, but really this cold front, I mean, we see a lot of darker greens in there. This looks pretty intense according to this European model. So we're going to need to watch that very, very closely. And even as we approach Saturday, we can see that it moves a little bit further south, so it moves through, but it's going to stall out. So by this point, it's probably a stationary front, which means the cold and the warm are nearly equal. For instance, you know, we have the same push coming from the south there as we do from the north, so it's staying stationary because it's getting pushed equally on each side. Usually when this happens, what this causes to happen, that squeeze, the precipitation doesn't just stop. It mostly moves along the cold front, and usually that's going to be west to east along the cold front. That push obviously causes winds to move to the, you know, horizontally here. I'm trying to explain this in a way that's understandable here. When we have the push like this, obviously that air is not just going to stay. It's going to be forced to the side. Imagine you're taking your arms in the pool, okay, in the water, and you're pushing them together really fast. What does the water do? It obviously pushes away from the middle of your hand. It doesn't just stay in between your hand. That would be, you know, impossible. So it flows away. The force is away. So that's what ends up happening here. But by the time we reach Sunday, although it looks almost the same spot, it starts to slowly move further north, this front. Now, these areas I'm concerned about for high amounts of precipitation because it stays over you guys so long. But by Monday, it's clear this is moving north now. So the warm air starts to push just like this. It looks like it's winning more on the western end than the eastern end. That's why it's taking on kind of a tilt here by this point. This is Monday, August 1st. And then by Tuesday, August 2nd here, we can see that basically it just kind of dies down. We see quieter pattern, honestly, expected in the longer range. And even by Wednesday here, this is going to be the 3rd. We see a bit of a front maybe there, but very, very weak at this point. And then let's see, for Thursday the 4th, we have a little bit of activity up here, a little bit here, some going on here, but hardly anything across the nation. So we get a little bit quieter for the first 4 days of August, according to this model right now. Sometimes in the longer range, it does call for things like this, and then it doesn't even end up being that way. So take this with a grain of salt for sure, but that is kind of the look at this point. The two cold fronts is what I'm the most confident in, though. Now, let's take a look at the total precipitation real quickly. As you can see, if you're anywhere in the whites, we're taking a look at practically no precipitation. Your grays will be about 1/10 of an inch or less of precipitation. Your greens will be about 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Your blues will be 1/2 an inch to an inch. Your yellows will be 1 inch to 2 inches. Your reds will be 2 to 5 inches. And then your browns will be 5 to 10 inches of precipitation there. So we see a lot of that there for Colorado and in there for Kansas. We also see for Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, and Tennessee. We see some of that going on. So a lot of different regions dealing with a lot of precipitation. It's mostly these reds, which we could see the monsoon is causing some of these reds to flow up into this region, just like that. And then this cold front, these two cold fronts that are just going to sit over this time for an extended period of time. And the low up here, the low is going to move from here to here. That's what causes all this precipitation up there. And then the cold fronts that stall out is what's going to cause all this precipitation down here on the underneath. Hope that makes sense. That's kind of why the upcoming pattern features a lot of precipitation in these different regions. Just giving you guys a little bit of an explanation for why that's happening. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at the total, or actually better yet, the upcoming temperature pattern. Now, here we are taking a look at today, July 26th, Tuesday. We see a lot of cooler temperatures up here. Up in the north, we see just blues, greens, a little bit of greens there. That's where we're dealing with mostly cooler temperatures. The kind of oranges and reds here out west indicating slightly above average temperatures. Same story there for the south central United States as well. We do see some cooler conditions here for the same areas that are seeing the monsoon, and that's because the cloud and the rain is a little bit unusual, so it's causing those temperatures to be a little bit below normal. We see here for Wednesday, July 27th, we see above normal temperatures here for the deeper south. We see also for the northwest still that is ongoing, but overall this trough is centered over the east, although it's only affecting northern portions there. Now for Thursday the 28th, things are going to recharge a little bit here. We see our next low coming through, the next cold front coming through, and that's going to cause even cooler temperatures. So by the time we reach Friday the 29th, we see this one beginning to dive down, just like this. A little bit warmer underneath here up the east coast, but that's going to come to an end very quickly. We see the west is very, very warm at this point, and what this is going to cause is by Saturday, this dips down even further. So we see it just about like this. And then by Sunday the 31st, we see it affect these areas in the eastern United States. But we start to see warm developing over top, also underneath, and this is going to squeeze it out. It's going to choke it out, basically. And even by Monday, July, or better yet, August 1st, we see just a little bit of blue left over. A lot of these reds are heading further and further eastward. And by the 2nd, we see just the most minimal amounts of blue. And I'm guessing by the next day, we're going to see none, basically. And we can start to see some blues spreading in through a little bit of the west. There's still some reds left over, but it looks like we're heading into a trough in the west, ridge in the east pattern by this point. So let's keep going with this. Yeah, look at that. We have cooler temperatures arriving for the west coast here in the longer range, and then the warmth is forced to head further eastward from that point. So we get a pattern quite like this. Now, this is the longer range, like I said on the precipitation forecast, so take it with a grain of salt, but definitely this looks like what the model is thinking at this point is a big trough here in the west and a lot of warmth heading into the east. So we could get a lot hotter here in the east in the longer range, and we have some cooler air pouring into the west. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at the Storm Prediction Center for that severe weather outlook. Here we are taking a look at the or better yet, the day one categorical outlook here for Tuesday, July 26th. We have one very, very large general thunderstorm risk there in the lighter greens. That's where we obviously have a general thunderstorm risk, but anything is possible, so continue to heed every watch, warning, and advisory. We also have the two darker green regions there, one there for the plains and then one there for the more eastern United States, and that's the two areas where we have isolated severe weather expected. Now for day two here on Wednesday, July 27th, we have a very large marginal risk in there, but we'll get to that in a second. We have a very interesting looking general thunderstorm risk there. Looks almost like a hand, like it has different fingers going all over the place, or like a branch or something. But we have a very large general thunderstorm risk there. And that's again where we expect only general thunderstorms, but anything is possible, so heed every watch, warning, and advisory, and continue to pay attention. We have the two darker green regions there that I mentioned, and we have isolated severe weather expected in there. It's called our marginal risk area there for Wednesday, July 27th. Now here's day 3, Thursday, July 28th, and we again have a very large general thunderstorm risk area once more. Again, continue to heed every watch warning and advisory, but we also have a darker green region there for portions of the Ohio Valley and the kind of like the interior eastern United States, and that is where we have a marginal risk where we expect isolated severe weather to take place in there. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, we're remaining at a 4 out of 6. There's still nothing on the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook. This has been a massive drought of tropical activity. And until then, there's just going to be nothing that I'm specifically focusing on necessarily. So we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. For today's patron, highlighted today, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, Bill Crates, James Wade, Dauphin Nagel, Little Pan, Mandy Birdfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I would also like to thank our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa Catbite, Charles Dennett, Bill Dallas, Garys, and John Calisi also. I'd also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.